You know that this public loot was a windfall to the very banking thieves who have brought 2 million families to the brink of foreclosure. The very thieves who have done this were given a reward by the United States government from George Bush. And up until a very recent time, there was only one politician who stood in the way of these creeps. These creeps, and that was Elliot Spitzer. They lynched Elliot Spitzer in order to continue robbing the Treasury, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that Elliot Spitzer is innocent of the charges against him, but if you want to evaluate whether a man goes to a massage parlor is a crime equal to robbing billions of dollars, go ahead and do so. What about Countrywide? What happened there? Well, there's more in that story that I'll tell you about another day. I don't have enough time to do this all today. I came in today because we have a situation that I think I need to talk about. I didn't come in to entertain you or entertain myself. I believe that we are entering another Great Depression, and I have evidence to show you that we are entering, if not already in the Great Depression. And if you look at the Great Depression of 1929, you'll find that we're already there. If you look at the percentages of stocks, of the percent in valuation that stocks fell, we're already there in some ways. I know stocks went up today, okay? Just listen carefully. Don't be a wise guy, because I know what I'm talking about. You may not know anything. Just because you listen to the blowhard doesn't mean you know anything. Just because you listen to Frito doesn't mean you know anything. And just because you listen to the guy who should be wearing an apron and be talking in Duffy's saloon doesn't mean you know anything. Just listen to me before you open your yap. Do you know what caused the Great Depression? Many stocks were purchased on margin. What is margin? They used loans secured by only a small fraction of the stock's value. And I learned in high school that the way they straightened out the market after the Great Depression, which affected everyone in my family when I was a kid, it's all I heard about. It's all I heard about when I was growing up. What the Great Depression this, the Great Depression that. I didn't know what it was. All I heard was how terrible it was from my father and my uncles. I didn't know what they were talking about because I grew up basically in the 50s where there was plenty after World War II. What did I know about the Great Depression? They tried to tell me and my mind would fog over, the old men are talking again. But during the Great Depression, terrible things happened to people. Businesses went under. Houses were lost. Jobs were lost. Men who had families were riding the rails. They were giving away apples in the street to men who couldn't find a job. Grown men who had been working as executives or selling pencils in New York. Terrible things happened. Men threw themselves out of buildings. I heard over and over again, some rich men threw themselves out of buildings on Wall Street. Well, so far, no one's thrown themselves out of buildings. You know why? They don't have to. They threw you out of a building. They threw you out of the building because they got the government on their side to make sure they don't go out of the building, to make sure you went out the building. Today, it's a different story. What do you mean by buying on margin? In order to stop this from happening again, the government put in controls after the Great Depression in the 30s, which said you cannot buy stocks on such a large margin. You need to put down a certain amount of money. You can't just trade it like a casino. Okay, so that would prevent wild speculation. Same with a mortgage. I've told you this for 6 months now. I wanted a house when I was young and first working. The banker said no. Why? You don't have 20% down. I said, well, I have 15. Sorry, can't buy it. I can lend you money for a car. I don't want a car. I want a house. I have a kid. I want a house. Can't have a house. You need 20% down. Why? Because, well, maybe one day you won't be able to make the payments and we can't afford to see the housing market destroyed, so you need 20% down. What happened in the last few years is under George Bush and his insanity called deregulation. And by the way, don't fall for this rubbish of deregulation. Don't go for this Republican garbage called deregulation. This is outright thievery. It's not deregulation. It's turning the country into Argentina. We're like gauchos now living in a third world nation because of this thievery. This was not deregulation. This was outright thievery. They let people buy a house with nothing down. And then they said, not only you have to put nothing down, how much money would you like in addition to that? That's like going to a supermarket and buying groceries and giving me a credit card and they say, would you like cash back? That's so shocking to me. I still go in a store. I can't believe it. I see girls without a nickel in their pocket with a credit card. They go in and they buy chewing gum because they're broke. They wear the $1,000 mono shoes, and all they know is about a pointy shoe and an orgasm that night. And the moron is already the bust, not a nickel in her pocket. She buys bubble gum and she says, I'll take $20 back for the bubble gum. She's basically living on credit. That's the society you want to live in? Instead of the girl realizing she's living beyond her means, instead of buying shoes for $3,000, she shouldn't have bought the shoes for $3,000. But if you watch enough Sex in the City, you should be able to buy anything. So they brainwashed the country into thinking they should buy anything at any time and blah, blah, blah. So let's get back to brass tacks here. Causes of the Great Depression, using loans secured by only a small fraction of the stock's value, buying on margin. So what happened was the stock market crashed. What did it actually mean? How low did the market go? It declined 33%. Between stocks peak in September and their low in November, U.S. stock prices, measured by the so-called Cowles Index, declined 33%. And because this decline was so dramatic, the event was referred to as the Great Crash of 1929. Now, I want you to ask yourself a question. Has our market declined by 33% over the last X number of weeks, months, or days? 10%? 5%? We're certainly in some state of shock here. And I'm not going to go into this any further today because I have very, very limited time. Extremely limited time because I'm only going to be with you part of the time today on the show. I was told again not to be here, but I'm here because I have a lot to do.